Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Going into part two here of Dropped Frames. Today we're joined by Mr. Ziggy D. How's it going, sir?
Hey, very good. Thanks for having me on once again. Very excited to talk about some Path of Exile action.
Yeah. We're going to jump straight into it. Now, before we do, actually, Jericho, do you have any experience with Path of Exile? Did we pick the perfect
No.
co-host? Great. Yes, I'm loving it.
Perfect.
I know of it. I've
good.
seen quite a few people playing, especially recently. So I'm well aware that it's a great game.
Okay. All right.
Hey, man, I'm always keen to sell new people on it, get new people playing the game. So
Waiting.
This would be the greatest video game convert to ever occur if we can get a Call of Duty person, and maybe that's a little unfair to Jericho, over to play Path of Exile.
Fortnite person.
Fortnite person. There we go. That's more apt. Yeah.
Whoa, I am a sim game streamer now.
A Zillow streamer.
I'm a Zillow streamer. I'm a realtor online.
Yeah.
well, hideouts. We've got hideouts. You know,
That's true.
we did have that. That what was it? The PUBG mode. We
did have a battle royale for a little while. That's true. Yeah.
It was a lot of
Oh,
fun.
okay.
That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was actually the first like top down I guess battle royale in this genre. But now isn't this is totally off topic, but isn't is it Battle Right that's making that PUBG style game? You guys know what I'm talking about? None of you played Battle Right, I guess. I'm waiting for chat
I
to
did
confirm.
briefly. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, they are doing the BR, Battle Right Battle Royale. I think is the name of it. Anyways, let's talk about Path of Exile. So, Ziggy, why don't you, what's going on Friday? Tell us what we can expect, and then me and Co will probably just ask you what build we should play. So, let's go ahead.
Fair enough. Yeah, dude. I mean, there's so much. This is shaping up to be a pretty big one. They're just calling these expansions now. Previously, this would have been called like a Challenge League update, but they've crossed over into the point where they're putting as much work into the Challenge Leagues now that they did to actual expansions in the past. So we're getting Delve, in which we will delve deeply into an infinite mine and Path of Exile's first ever infinite dungeon. So it's looking a little bit spooky. You'll head down into the darkness. All of your light is stripped away from you, and the only light that you get is through some little flares that have like a little pinpoint light radius, and this crawler, this little mine cart that you get to drag around or follow around. And if you stray into the darkness just kills you very quickly. It's got a stacking debuff that degens you. And the monsters inside the darkness as well, which I didn't realize when I was watching the original trailers and that, when I was testing it, they are actually immortal as well. So you can't kill any of the horrors in the dark if you're in the darkness. So it gets pretty spooky. I have played a bit now, and it's pretty spooky. Very spooky.
See, when I first saw this, I immediately was like, well, Totem and Trap builds are just going to dominate this season. But now knowing what you just said, it feels like they're not going to, because you're going to have to constantly like put those down, and it'd be kind of an annoyance. So just right out of the gate, what are the strong builds for this type of setup? What are you thinking?
It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out long term. There's like, this league has so much like unanswered questions for like Path of Exile long term, because I think this is going to become a core part of the game as well. So pretty difficult to figure out. But we've got some new archetypes, and one archetype in particular is this new like melee summoner. So like themed after the Templar, where you get into melee combat yourself. And like you said, you know, you can't kill stuff in the darkness, so melee's okay. And that was one of the things people were worried about, is melee going to be alright in this? But because you're fighting in this little light radius, melee's fine. Like, you are pretty much fighting in melee range a lot of the time anyway, unless you're specifically investing in upgrading light radius as much as possible. But yeah, there's this new like archetype of melee summoner, which is like a holy beatdown guy that buffs a bunch of minions, summons minions by literally dominating them with a hammer. And then supports them with auras and things like that. So that's been done through Guardian, but also a bunch of support on the passive tree and stuff like that, which I've got a early first look at video exclusive for you later as well. So
Hey,
take a look at that later.
For us that are, you know, only 500 hours in and don't still have a grasp on it, when you say archetype, you're not talking about a starting class, right? What exactly do you mean by archetype?
Yeah, it's Path of Exile is a little bit different to other RPGs in that fashion, right? Because it's so flexible in that you can make the same or different play styles across all different classes and things like that. It's not as locked in as other games. But so instead of being like adding a new class or something like that, or even calling a new build is not enough, because they're adding like got a list here. There's like 7 new things in total, maybe, that have been added to this play style, essentially. So I'm kind of calling the play style. It'd be like a selection of similar builds. So this idea of you fight, but you also have minions. Whereas, as opposed to a regular summoner where you might stand back and support your minions and they do the fighting for you, you're actually in there in the thick of it. So
archetypes are basically like ways to play the game.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Different ways you can interact with the enemies. Cool. Okay, awesome.
Oh God, I had forgotten Path of Exile, and I'm already getting addicted watching. It's bad.
Yes, come back to me.
Okay.
I love watching you guys play.
We're okay. We're good.
I mean, this game. This is like one of those games that the biggest barrier of entry here is like it has to be the only game that I play, or like the main game that I play, because 500 hours and you still feel relatively new, versus people in the chat.
Okay,
3K
let's have an intervention here. Here's the reason why Co still feels new after 500 hours. In my opinion, Co, you will tell me if I'm wrong, so I'm okay 100% saying this. Co gets his chat to choose his build for him, and it's not always the best build. He can't really push in the game with a lot of that stuff that gets chosen for him. So I'm pleading with you, Co, please choose a strong build yourself this season and get as far as possible, because I would love to see you kill Shaper.
Okay. Well, now hold on. Okay.
There's a lot of stuff there.
And let me tell you why. So here's the thing. First of all, most of the builds I've done have been viewer voted, which I think is fun, letting your community kind of pick your build for you. That's true. However, yeah, I know, right? Most of them are jokes. But it is important to mention that new at least 3 of the builds I've had, the GCI, the Glacial Cascade Inquisitor, the Arc Witch was extremely powerful, and there's another one as well. I could have taken them further. The only issue is I have this weird, I call it the T10 to 15 dead zone, where for some reason in my maps, and actually it's more like between like T10 forward, I get to this point where I'm not regularly getting advancing maps, and I don't want to go through the hassle of buying them from other people, and I just hit this wall. And that's happened on my last 3 characters.
I get it.
And for some reason, it's the same spot every time. I have a great time getting to that point. It's why I'm playing Delve again. I love building the character and learning the build and experimenting with equipment and stuff. But I just get to this point where I feel like I have a really good grasp on what my character does and what he can do. I see where I can go with it, but I also understand it's going to take like huge amounts of work to get there.
Totally.
And something else will come out.
Well, here.
So it's not that I've really been using bad builds, but I to be fair, if I did play a super powerful build, maybe I'd get to that point quicker and actually get over that hurdle.
Yes,
yeah, that's true. That's one of the reasons, actually, and Ziggy, you can jump in on this. I polled my community. I actually was in Zazaren's stream and talked to his chat for a little bit about it. I wanted to pick a build to start with this league that is easy to play, relatively powerful, and has good guides. And after talking with a bunch of people, I decided to do my very first Cyclone build.
I would say
good. The whole reason I said that is I wanted to see Ziggy's face when I said and I got one of these.
It's not.
So I'm relatively okay with that reaction. I'm relatively okay.
I'll defer to Ziggy on this, but I will say, don't go physical Cyclone or you'll hate it. Go Namahu's Flame Cyclone. You'll have more fun.
Yeah,
because you won't be like.
I think that's actually the build I was looking at.
Okay, good. Because here's the thing: if you go physical in Jericho, I'm so sorry, but if you go physical Cyclone, you will not get a disfavor, which is like your best in slot weapon. You just won't simply. You're not. I know who you are. You're not going to farm enough currency to see a disfavor. You're not going to get the Ubrat Zeri to be able to get it to drop, etc. So go.
Yeah, I'm sending this to you on Skype too.
Yeah,
I just linked it in the drop frames chat. That I want to do. The build I'm looking at is Nagamahu's Cyclone build.
Yes.
For Uber Lab Runner endgame viable content.
I've used that build one of the seasons ago. It's fine. The only thing that sucks is that item, the weapon that you use for that will be pretty expensive at the start of the league.
It's cool. I'll just have a viewer give it to me. It's fine.
It drops drastically as the league progresses on. So this is actually this is Molten Strike or whatever. But yeah, that build will be fine. Ziggy, feel free to jump in though. What on your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd love to, like Ziggy. I'm sure you know that build. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Like, do you think that the thing that I really thought about is like with this league in particular, if all the enemies are coming to that light, then theoretically this would be an excellent opportunity for Cyclone to just like basically do a little circle around the mine thing as it's going through, and you basically everyone would come to your Cyclone. It'd be great.
Just do circles in the light. Could work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that might work, maybe, perhaps.
I was a bit worried when you said Cyclone because it's like it's a divisive one. Some people like love it and it's their dream build that they'll play every league. And then me, I was like, ugh, I hate this. I funded the most expensive Cycloner. I got the disfavor the expensive Azeriax and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, eh.
It's definitely
So,
saying
but
that-
wasn't for you.
Yeah, but when you said the meatball one with the Namahu's axe, that's much more fun, I think. So I think that's a good choice.
Yeah. It also it's better arguably at boss killing than disfavor in some situations, I would say. It's also just easier to get to, having played both of them.
Yeah, definitely. But you brought up a pretty interesting point though, which is like that 10 to 15 bracket of maps, which is where definitely a lot of people, and I mean JP had a pretty good point that like if you have a stronger build, you'll tend to advance a bit faster, and it's well worth playing if you're like somewhat new to the game, you've been playing for a while, and you're kind of getting to that point where you're hitting a wall and you're never really getting much further. It's really worth like actually just playing something strong just to see everything the game has to offer at least once.
Yeah.
So it's worth doing that. But the exciting thing about Delve is that there's a couple things happening. So firstly, like as a part of this expansion, they're also doing some stuff for maps. So they're Zana's giving us two new things. One, the ability to run any other map from the same tier, so the same as Horizonals if you've like played in Harbinger. So that'll allow you to like essentially expand out your atlas and explore that out much better. And that's like one chaos or something, so you can just do that. And then she's got another one later on that'll advance your maps higher as well. So another way of kind of like chewing through that atlas content, which is potentially pretty big.
That's so big for me. That's
Well,
like two of my biggest complaints.
It's really, oh God, I hate when YouTube does this and I'm not ready for it because I don't know what's going to pop up in thumbnails. But, what if you kill your father immediately,
Doctor
What
wants
if?
his house too.
God, I wasn't ready
I
for
get all
that.
those same suggestions as well.
That is so good to hear, Ziggy. Those two things you just said are basically like the solution to the issue I've had for the last 3 leagues.
But to clarify,
is-
that's
Yeah.
reputation based, right, Ziggy? Like you have to get Zana to 8 to get that stuff? Or is that just
Oh, the
baseline?
really like the advance up to tier 16 or whatever is Zana 8, but I think. But the other one's Zana 4, which is very easy.
Oh,
to
okay.
get
That's
you
not
to
bad.
that.
That's not bad.
Okay. I
We did
don't think
a
I've
couple
ever gotten trainer to 8. That system is terrible. They need to remake it from the
No,
ground up.
yeah.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Uh,
awful. I don't level masters anymore beyond like 4 or 5. I'm
yeah,
just like,
right?
I get them to
Oh,
like 7. I've
getting
only pushed a
realised.
couple to 8, but let's jump back real quick. Jericho, I want you to
Yep.
do a thing.
Step back.
I just
Go-
want to say how like Jericho has just been sitting there like
Well,
listening.
no, here,
and-
look, I'm gonna
You
give
do a lot
It's a
better
good
than I
spot.
do. Stuff that I'm not plugged into is being talked about. Let me just say I'm impressed by that.
Jericho.
You know?
Open
Yes.
up Chrome real quick and go to
Okay.
PoEplanner.com.
Yes.
This is the quintessential moment, and it won't be as impactful because you're not actually in the game.
No, I'm not playing this.
Go to PoEplanner.com.
No, I just looked at this fucking.
That's the
web.
passive tree skill list that you can do. You can do any of that you want.
Look,
Now, Jericho-
like
You're starting to
What?
see why 500 hours can make you a noob still looking at that.
I love the idea of games like this, right? Like a game that you can pour all of the time that you ever wanted. This and WoW and stuff, but the only game that ever got me like that was RuneScape, and that's I still play that now, so I don't really have a lot of. The idea of playing a game like that is awesome, and maybe when I'm retired in like 75, sure, like I'd be down. But that's a lot going on over there.
Yeah, it's
when
a
you're in
thing.
one of my gaming retirement homes, cool. I'll see you there.
Yes.
we can
Oh,
play some PoE
absolutely.
together.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's gonna be really sad when everybody hits like, that point in society where people are not going out and doing anything because we're all in VR. But it's not gonna be sad for me because I'll be decrepit and old, and nobody will want to hang out with me. So I'll just be able to waste whatever I have left in VR, and I could be 25 again.
Yeah, you could. You could.
See, I'm 34, so that time is for me now.
Yeah, I'm kind
what
of
you do
like-
is
Yeah, you're
get married,
basically
you have
there.
a kid, and then you just stop leaving the house. It's just
Yeah.
you put a tap on it, you're done. So
Yeah.
it's a magical
Oh.
time.
It's
It's a
true.
magical time.
Sorry.
You have time for PoE. It's great.
Yeah, more time for PoE.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Ziggy, we're jump back into this. I think a lot of the reason why people are watching right now is because they want to know what build to start the league with. So, what are your That's like the number one thing that yourself, Zazara, and Mathel, like all the PoE streamers get asked, what starter do I go this league? What are we
Dude, that's a
doing?
freaking loaded question, though.
It is. It's the worst question. It's the what class do I play in WoW question, but go
What
ahead.
we're going to need is what build to start with and your personal emails. So they can send you feedback.
And also we
How
need
much
links to any builds
after
that
the
you
first
recommend.
week.
Right.
God.
Yeah. So where are we at, Ziggy?
Uh-oh.
What should we do?
All right. Well, I sent you a list of videos. Why don't you play that last one in the list, which I haven't actually released yet. So this is early preview, exclusive for Drop Frames.
Okay.
Here you go. Watch
Don't
out.
claim it. Don't claim the VOD.
Worldwide premiere from Ziggy D.
Don't claim the VOD, Ziggy.
Yeah. Does this mean you could copyright claim me? Jeez. Okay. Anyway,
This
this is
pretty
I was
cool.
talking about this a little bit earlier. This is one of the big new archetypes, which is this melee. I can't come up with a name for it. It's like a commander or something, like a melee minion man, a melee summoner, Templar/Guardian themed. Basically, you get in. There's a bunch of different like melee skills you can use, and technically even some ranged skills. You get in and you actually attack enemies. So a big complaint people have with summoners is I don't actually get to fight. I hate that letting my pets do the thing. In this, you're leading an army into battle. And I think this is definitely going to be, I don't know if this is going to get to like arc trap levels or anything like that, but I definitely think this is going to be one of the archetypes that just a huge percentage of people are playing, at least to start the league with. And I've tested it a bunch in like early game Delve, and it feels really solid for a starter as well. So you got this smite skill here, which gives your minions a lightning buff. And yourself, and has like pretty good AoE built into it. You can link it up with that ancestral call support you see there.
Yeah.
And then you're fielding like a bunch of zombies and things like that. And then later on down the line, you're getting a herald that summons extra minions. There's another melee skill, dominating blow, that's been reworked from the past, where after you bop an enemy, they get resummoned as a minion that will follow you around and shield charge into battle and things like that. And we've got there's hard support, which is pretty like they're really pushing this one as well, which is what makes me think this is going to be something a lot of people will be checking out. Normally, like they might put a skill or two in the game or something like this, and you'd be like, yeah, I might make a build around that. But in addition to like a whole bunch of skills, like even like little supporting skills like Holy Relic, this little guy that floats around and does pulses of AoE damage when you attack an enemy and heals your minions anew.
That guy
It also,
right you just summoned?
yeah, I'm showing him off just there in the video. There he is. He's a cute little dude. He's a little floating candelabra. You've got some real hard support in terms of passives and stuff. So they've actually like overhauled a lot of the passive skill tree and the Guardian Ascendancy as well to give support for this. So for example, you might think like, what's a problem if I'm going to do this is, do I want to like invest in scaling summoner stuff, like making my minions stronger, or do I want to make my attacks stronger? There's actually nodes in the tree now that will make it so that your minion damage and attack speed affects you as well. So you can scale both at once and plan a build that's specifically based on the hybrid of those two things. So it's pretty juicy. Pretty juicy.
That looks
And that's from minion to your character, not your character to minion?
Yeah, no, from minion to your character. I think it would be pretty insane the other way because the amount of damage that's available to players compared to minions. But it's looking and feeling very juicy.
Oh, shit,
particularly like
changed
that
that.
smite skill feels real good.
Oh, and that adds
Yeah,
to
that's
the holy.
a fated version.
Two
Yeah,
out. Ooh.
yeah. So there's some potential maybe to build around that as well. I didn't get it. So there's so much I couldn't even explore in my like previewing of the early development builds of this. There's like a ton of this I didn't even get to try. This is that Herald of Purity that gives you physical damage, and we're probably also going to see a lot of people playing face breakers with this too, because this gives flat physical damage, which is the face breakers. Which you guys, if you want to play an unarmed punching build, Path of Exile has that, and it's very fun. It's very juicy.
Yeah, that's not bad. Kind of at the beginning of the league though, might be a little bit rough finding a high percentage face breaker, but
Yeah, that's something you want to transition into a little bit later, typically.
Yeah. Jericho, you got any comments?
What are the like the spiders and shit do when you're not in there? Like, do they like, they like go to
Some
school
say
and
they
shit?
don't
Like, I
exist
always
till you
wonder what
invade
they-
them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, looks. I like the art style a lot.
I would love for you to just play for like an hour of Path of Exile to see your.
Can you respec your character at the beginning of every season, or like in the middle?
Your
Like,
characters
what's
are
the
all
deal with that?
deleted. After every
Oh.
season, they basically wipe everything and you start from new.
Well, they start a
wow.
new league. Every
Yeah. They're not deleted. They go to the standard league. Yeah.
Gotcha. Crazy.
Jesus, wait. So all those enemies leapt into the boss fight, and you basically just immediately converted them? Is that what I was seeing there?
So in that fight just there, I already had a whole bunch of minions that I'd like dominated and summoned and things like that through combat in the lead up to the boss fight. And then I got in there and summoned an army of skeletons as well. And we just surrounded him and like shredded the boss. That's what's going to be really fun about that playstyle, is just like just ganking bosses like that as a team.
So
feels good, man.
Let's. I'll leave this because do you want me to leave this playing? Or you want me to say, hey, go check out Ziggy's channel for the rest of the video?
No, you leave it playing. There's juicy audio and extra detail in the video, and I'll release it after this podcast if you guys want to check it out.
We'll leave it on in the background if there's any new stuff from the beta. Patch notes are not fully out, or are they fully out?
Yeah, no, they're out. There'll probably be like a few small updates, but the patch notes are basically fully out now. So we know what's gotten nerfed.
Yeah,
that's not a lot of stuff.
That's what I was going to ask. What
You
are
wanna
the
know?
big builds that are nerfed? By the way, the patch notes are another fucking language. You can't read the patch notes unless you've played for like 1,000+ hours, because otherwise you're just like, huh. Anyways, I'm gonna go look up a guide somewhere.
But if you have, though, reading the patch notes and then watching streams of the patch notes and then watching every YouTuber's videos of reading the patch notes is literally days of entertainment, though.
Yeah,
that's
a big thing before each league.
If you speak that language.
So I know Shimmeron got nerfed, which was my favorite
Shimmeron's
item from
got
last league. Arcraps RIP.
Yeah, so basically, arc traps were like the big thing last league, and they did get nerfed. Shimmeron's one of the uniques that you could really transition into late game, but definitely didn't need to. Those got nerfed for the purpose before you were kind of like cheesing a mechanic with them to use them with arc traps, but that no longer works.
Yeah.
And traps a bit got nerfed, but some of the actual specific traps got buffed up a little bit to compensate. It's people are like crying the end of arc trap and stuff like that. I don't really think it's going to be the end of arc trap, but maybe it's a little more reasonable. It was really unreasonable last league.
Here's how I killed Uber Elder. All right, and I'm a fucking idiot when it comes to this game, and I was Uber Elder with arc traps. So they were a little strong. They were a little strong for sure. What else is nerfed out there, Ziggy?
Shield charge with Brightbeak, so everyone's slapping on their fastest weapon possible and shield charging around like crazy. That's been nerfed.
That
so
sucks.
shield charge as a baseline is a little better, but the really ridiculously fast shield chargey stuff is dying.
So what do you think people are going to use then for movement skills? You think they're going to... What's the new thing?
I mean, we'll probably still see some shield charge and stuff like that, but I think what this might actually do a pretty good job of leveling the playing field, which is really what a lot of people who advocate for the game being more interesting overall.
Yeah. I remember last season. Last season when I asked you to play a build, you were like, use phase run. And I just was like, God, I don't. It's not shield.
Dude.
Why the fuck would I use phase? And then I was like, it's not that bad.
Freaking use phase run, dude. This league especially, so another change was instant casting spells. They've had near instant, but you always had to stop your character to cast them in the past. They made actual instant, so they changed the game's code or whatever to make actual instant skills. So you can cast things like phase run while running. It feels so good.
I might
so
use
phase run, blood rage. What's that?
Flame Dash 2?
So Flame Dash got its own separate set of buffs as well. It's much faster now as well. So they seem to be trying to even the playing field a little bit. So things like Phase Run will be brought way up. And I already thought it was pretty good last league if you're playing the right build for it. And now, Flame Dash and Lightning Warp got faster. Shield Charge got nerfed a little bit. So that probably levels the playing field on move skills a lot, which is probably going to go a pretty good way to just making more builds feel good to play in general.
Yeah,
which is a pretty big deal.
If you're doing Cyclone has actually changed to be instant as well, right, Ziggy? In terms of activating it, you no longer have to drag. Someone was saying that last night to me. Do you know anything about that?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
I know people were talking about how you might be able to instant cast things while cycloning, which could be pretty nice for the playability of those builds.
Okay, maybe that was
that might be the.
Yeah, I was planning on just doing Leap Slam. I heard that was the Cyclone build movement skill.
Right.
I was kind of looking forward to that because I've always wanted to do a Leap Slam, but.
Yeah, it's.
Anyway, Cyclone itself is its own move skill.
Yeah, it is kind of its own move skill, right? Yeah. I think you'll have fun with that. But
yep.
What else?
Looking forward to it.
Let's continue on with the big nerfs. Anything else? You kind of covered a good chunk of it, but
yeah, the other really big nerf, which probably is, I'm usually pretty people like decry the end of something whenever there's some sort of nerf or change.
Sure.
I'm usually pretty moderate on that. I like to lean towards the middle on that, but Kinetic Blast is probably pretty dead. they gave it some pretty good nerfs. So it like Kinetic Blast was a one skill where you shot a bunch of projectiles and they created a billion overlapping explosions that would just disintegrate everything. It was ridiculous. It was a degenerate skill in that you could never really play anything else but it if you were going to play that archetype.
Yeah.
And they've made it so it doesn't overlap as much anymore. And if you try and what was called it was called officially wall banging. If you wanted to wall bang things, which is where you shoot against a wall and have a bunch of overlapping explosions on a boss.
I know that word.
That's apparently been nerfed too.
Yeah, Jericho knows all about.
Jericho's like, yeah, all right, I'm in. Yeah, that was unfortunately you'll miss the wall banging action if you're joining PoE now. Jericho, sorry to say, buddy.
Shame.
So yeah, Kinetic Blast is quite nerfed, but there's maybe a couple other skills you could try with ones. Power Siphon got buffed last league.
Do you think?
Ziggy, go ahead.
No. By all means, go.
I was gonna say with all of this, and this kind of interesting new commander archetype, do you think it's good enough to like start as your first build? Like, are you going in with a command? Yeah, it is. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it. There's just there's a few things there that excite me about it. Is that there's so many things to explore there. Like I will go into this probably not. I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do at the start of a league build wise, but I'm going to go into this with the not being quite sure how it's going to end up, like which direction I'm going to go, because there's so many directions I could go. I could go more like elemental stacking with smite and a bunch of minions and giving them a bunch of elemental damage, or I could go more into the dominating blow and have tons of minions and provide them a bunch of auras and things like that. You know, there's another skill, Consecrated Slam, I think it's called, which is like Consecrated Path, which is like Flicker Strike with like a ground slam thrown on the end or something. It's so that's pretty epic as well. That like heals your minions as well on top of that. So there's a whole bunch of different ways I could go. But yeah, no, it feels really good because you have a lot of minion support for bosses especially, and they also, block a lot of shots and things like that for you, act as a bit of a meat shield. It's hectic on screen, which can be a little bit.
Yeah, you said Flicker, and I immediately was like, well, not streaming that. Like, that was my first.
Yeah, Flicker's dead this league as well. I wouldn't play Flicker and Delve, by the way. You'll just flicker into the dark. It didn't get nerfed, but
oh my god.
Yeah, no, me neither. But if you like the Flicker Strike, you probably won't like it in the mines when you accidentally Flicker Strike into the darkness and die instantly. So that might not be so good.
That's true. I didn't think. Yeah, that would kind of not work. That would kind of not work. They mentioned in that video, by the way, that there's I think it says in the video that there's bosses that are harder than anything in the game already. Do you know any secrets there, like what that actually is?
Oh, dude, yeah. Let's talk Delve more because we kind of just glossed over it a little bit. But Delve's actually pretty massive for the game. There's very, very strong likelihood that this is going to become a core part of the game, not just like one league and done thing. It's I was talking to Chris Wilson, the lead producer for the game, about it, and he said this is 3 times like the code work, like the raw coding work, as the last league Incursion, which was pretty big as far as content for a league, this 3-monthly cycle league system. So Incursion was pretty big, and he specifically said that like Incursion was pretty successful overall. People enjoyed it mechanically. It was pretty good. I certainly agreed with that. I thought it was very fun, but didn't have very good longevity. Like after a couple of weeks, you'd done everything there was to do in the temple. You'd seen it all 10 times over probably.
Yep.
So Chris freely admitted that to me when I had a little interview with him. And I was like, that's dope. And he's like, and we're designing Delve around like solving that problem, along with like adding a bunch of extra kind of like, I guess ways for the game to advance outside of just the map system as well. So yes, the mines that you delve down into are infinite, and they will feature challenges beyond that of anything that you could get in maps, including like who knows? I haven't seen there's a lot of bosses and stuff tucked away at like really deep levels, like maybe down, when you're getting down into the 100 plus levels of the mine, there's some like insane bosses down there. Chris said there's specifically stuff that is tucked away really deep. so that people can like discover and explore and find over time.
Now, will
And that's
those
going to go a long way towards longevity.
will those be like RNG based, or are they like, floor 125 is always a boss? Do you have any idea on
Yeah.
that?
And actually, real quick,
So
to
it's-
have part of his question: does the entire map reset every time you do it, or does each character get like one endless dungeon?
Yeah, okay. So the way it works is that it's specific to each character. It has like randomization or procedural generation, but there's like certain. So let's say I find something really cool. Like there's this crazy Vile city with all this crazy stuff in it and the boss fight, and I found that on level 75. It's pretty likely that someone will find that around 75 if they go exploring for it. You might have to look for it because you can explore, infinitely down, but also infinitely left and right. So you might hear about something crazy around those levels, and you're like, okay, I'm going to explore around that area and see if I can find it for myself.
Well, like one of the things is, so each of the there's the levels each have multiple maps, right? Or is
Yeah,
it
it's
one
actually
map
like
per level.
It's actually like really crazy the way it works. So I think they've used the technology they developed for the really large maps for when they did the Battle Royale mode, which was a massive map, like the biggest Path of Exile's ever had.
Yeah.
I think they've used the technology they've developed for that or something, because essentially you can do multiple delves in the one map without a load screen. So you'll go in, you'll start at the like last checkpoint that you left your little minecart off, and then you'll go to the map and you'll select like the next one across that you want to go to, and you'll run that. And as long as you have enough fuel for your crawler, which is that yellow bar in the top right there, you'll be like, okay, now let's go to the next one and the next one and the next one. And then you might like, okay, I'm out of fuel. So you go back and get some more fuel. And then you come back and then it like refreshes the zone and it essentially like shifts the map over to that point. And then you can like keep running in that direction. And like, if the darkness wouldn't kill you, you could actually, it's like they've used the darkness in really, like just from a game design standpoint, they've used the darkness in a really clever way to, if it wasn't there, you could just explore this massive map that would have, I guess, just like an invisible barrier or something at some like crazy distance. But because you can't go there anyway because you'll die in the darkness, you have to use this little minecart or your flares to like explore limited little bits out of the darkness. I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but it's just kind of interesting the way they've developed it. But yeah, really massive map that kind of moves along with your crawler, basically.
I don't know. Please get sidetracked as much as you want. This is crazy interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's
whenever
I want to talk to the devs more about how they actually just developed this to work, like on like a code level or something. It's really interesting.
Oh, cool. So I have no idea what that just was, but that looked amazing. So when you get down to a floor and you run out of fuel, at that point you go back up, refuel, and you go back down to where you stopped.
Yeah, so you'll see on the map that's on screen right now, it's actually got all the lines of the areas you've explored. And once you explore and win the encounter at the end of one of those delves, then it'll reach a checkpoint. And you can, from any checkpoint you've been to in the past, you can then start a new delve off to another checkpoint.
So here's my question. That map we just saw, that map is RNG for every person's account, right? So every person's map looks different. Is there a chance that my RNG delve map is going to have like something crazy powerful or crazy awesome compared to someone else's map? Or is it the kind of thing where everyone's going to get basically the same thing, just in a different
I'd probably imagine it like, everyone has a 1% chance of getting an exalt per day or something. This is just made up numbers, but right. So it's not like you might get 5 exalts one day and that's crazy, and another person might not get one that day. So I think it's kind of like that, but everyone still has the same chance of seeing those things. So if it's like there's a crazy boss fight around level 75, everyone has the same chance of encountering that, and you will, if you explore there, be able to find that. But your map, might be a little bit crazier in one case, or someone else's map might be a bit crazier in another case. So yeah, it is, because it is that procedural generation, but with like set, areas where things can happen.
Oh man, this is so cool. I want to play this.
Is there it's endless, but is there a point where it's just like this, like floor 237 is just fucking impossible? Can you reset it and start from the beginning?
That's like a whole other thing. I mean, so you can explore infinitely left and right, firstly, just to answer that question specifically.
Oh, so it's not deep. It's size of map.
The further you go down, the harder it gets.
Okay.
So it like increases in level as you go farther and farther down until it reaches the same highest level you can get through map system. And then it keeps increasing in difficulty and reward as you go further down beyond that. So yeah, you could eventually get to a spot where you're like, I'm on level 175. and like I literally can't do anything here. I just get slaughtered.
Then can you go back up?
And that's yeah. I mean, you can start from any of those other waypoints you've already been to. So you could be like, okay, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna go back to a waypoint on 150 and go off to the right and explore and find some more things around that area.
That sounds good.
And this is like, I'm just very excited to see where this goes over not even this 3 months, but like the next year of Path of Exile. If this, sticks around and pans out to be something really good, because there's so much interesting potential here. Because we don't have this. Once your like character has killed Uber Elder and dominated tier 16 maps, there's no point to getting much better gear beyond just like, beating your EP a little bit. So
exactly. That's what happened to me. I killed Uber and quit the next day. Like I was quote done with the game.
Yeah, and a lot of people get to the point where they're done, or they're just like not too interested in like, I don't really feel like killing Shaper this league. Like, why do I want to do that? I mean, like, it's a pretty awesome like thing in its own right, but this gives you something to really test yourself and to also really, there's going to be like much more of a market for crazy drops, because that little 1 or 2% upgrade, or that like really crazy item that costs you like mirrors, has a reason now, because you might be able to get down, an extra level, and this has a leaderboard with it.
Of how deep someone is?
Yeah, there's going to be a leaderboard for each league, and I think Chris was also saying that they might also do like solo and group leaderboards in the grouping leagues.
Grouping is a thing that we haven't even mentioned. Like, I would assume that like maybe I want to group for the first time in Path of Exile history. Like,
and
Ziggy, I'm going to play a grouping league to start off with to do that, because it could be really fun, like taking a bunch of people and watching them die in the dark.
Especially if they died, you or don't. Yeah. Go ahead, Co.
It could be hilarious.
Well, I was going to say, now this endless dungeon mechanic, like you said, it could become a pillar for this game. I mean, this is a pretty big deal to add an endless dungeon. That's basically like you have main game, maps, and endless dungeon. Like it's an entire new prong of progression.
Oh yeah. Huge.
Do you think that the leaderboard for the endless dungeon is going to become the new kind of go-to to see who's doing the best in the game kind of thing? Like I'm wondering how much of an impact this leaderboard is going to have, because I feel like the Mathels, the Ziggy D's, the Zazarans, I feel like are you guys going to start competing and like trying to get like like you guys do these huge timed events every time leagues open. Are there going to start being events to like who can get the deepest in the dungeon and everything?
So like in the past, one of my favorite things in Path of Exile was like the real race for 1-100. And it was some of the like, maybe like a year or two back, plus it was like some of the most exciting times was like watching streams. Even before I was streaming, I was watching like Crip and the other streamers at the time, really like pushing that competitive league start. These days, that's kind of, people's enthusiasm has kind of waned for that a bit. There's still people pushing for 100, but it's definitely not as exciting as it once was. And once that's over, there's no competition in the league beyond that, really. You just kind of like make a new build every 3 days and or every week or whatever, and then there's not much else kind of like for that like competitive aspect of the game that really drives people against each other. So there's I think there's a pretty strong potential here that this becomes like the new competitive draw for PoE, and I'm really excited to see where that leads, because it could bring out some new people. People made their name in streaming Path of Exile a few years back because they were on top of like the hardcore ladder in the push to 100. Like that actually made a lot of people's streams. And maybe this is a stream maker for people again in Path of Exile. Like maybe being on top of the leaderboards or something. I mean, every time you go into a new delve level, it appears in yellow text on the side as well. So right?
See,
yeah, it'll announce it. So
what happens, here we go. The PoE devs need to get with the Twitch guys, and under every PoE stream is a little line of the deepest they've made it in the dungeon. So when you go to look at Twitch streamers, right at the bottom, you can see who's winning in the deepest dungeon thing. Oh, that'd be so cool. You just sort by who's doing the best. Oh.
Now, here's a question for you, Ziggy. Hardcore and Delve seems like just another beast completely, right? Like it just seems...
Oh, man.
It just seems like a fucking gigantic risk. But are you doing it? Are you going hardcore? Or are you gonna start soft to begin with?
Oh god, man, it's terrifying. Like that darkness. So the loot that you can find and the things that you can find just off to the sides of the path. You can do a delve. You can follow the minecart. You can get to the end. You get some little rewards, and you feel all right. And it's a good day. But if you want some of the really juicy stuff, including like these new crafting things, these resonators, which allow a powerful new crafting method, you really would need to like explore off into the darkness. And that might be like running as far as you can while almost dying, throwing a flare, hoping that you can stand on the flare and there's not too many like invulnerable monsters in the darkness that are going to try and block your way. And then there's like a wall and you're like, okay, I'm going to throw some dynamite at that wall to blow it down. And then I'm going to throw another flare. Like, I'm like 3 flares deep. Is my first flare run out? Am I going to have enough flares to make
God,
it back?
they run out. Fuck.
JP, this is gonna be a
they have
horror
like
game.
a duration you can
I
upgrade.
no, I've already. It's a
gets-
very horror element theme.
It gets horror game, yeah. This is like so. Path of Exile was a pretty spooky game back in the day. Like it was really scary, especially playing hardcore in PoE and like going into like Lunaris Temple for the first time when they added that, and there was like rivers of blood everywhere and monsters just shredding you.
Yeah, it's my
game
least
was
favorite place. When leveling, I don't like going to the river of blood bullshit.
The game was scary, but it hasn't been scary for a while, I don't think. Like there's been stuff in hardcore, it's like, oh, I died, okay. This is like legit scary though. So I'm gonna start with softcore. So I can take like parties of people into the mines and just watch them die and have a good old time with it, have like a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
And then I think I might do some solo self-found hardcore after that.
Okay.
So I can just be terrified and sweating bullets while I'm playing.
I really just wonder, like, for the Zizzes of the world, like, if they go hardcore, like, how fast Ziz will die, which will probably be pretty fast. I mean, it's Ziz we're talking about at the end of the
People
day.
are gonna die in the dark, man.
Yeah. I can't wait to go to Reddit and just see the rip VODs, just nonstop, the rip clips. They're gonna be great.
It seems like it's going to be really fun in softcore, though. Like, I try to evaluate, because I play both leagues, a bit of a mixture of both, roughly 50-50, and I try to evaluate each league what I think it's better for. And I think this is one of those leagues that's really going to just be super fun in softcore. Like, it's not losing any of its excitement, I don't think.
Yeah.
The softcore play.
Jericho,
You can die, and it'll be fun.
Totally. Jericho, what are your thoughts? Softcore or hardcore?
I mean, everybody's got to start with the softcore. That way you can kind of figure out just how deep you want to dive. I personally I struggle with going deep, so I like to start off with something I know I can do, and then we'll move into hardcore later.
Okay. Yeah. Good. I agree. You linked me some other VODs here real quick. Should we talk about either of these? Are these out? Are these live? The Poison Herald and
Yeah,
Pathfinder
the other
with
ones
Costagaro?
The other one's alive. You can bring them up if you want. So I talked about like the big archetype I'm excited about, this like melee summoner. There's a bunch of also support coming for bows and poison through the Pathfinder and through a bunch of skills and stuff. So this one here, I'm actually showing off a new Herald that whenever you score a poison, it gives you a stacking buff, and then it summons this dope scorpion crawler dude who just destroys everything. Is ridiculous.
Huh.
So I am literally doing no damage in this, using a white low-level bow just to show the scorpion doing stuff. And the scorpion can carry me. It ends up even like killing Katava and everything for me. So that's pretty juicy. And there's also like another skill, Scourge Arrow, which I think probably I would hold off on playing. That's going to be my official recommendation for Scourge Arrow. I think there's a lot of potential there, but I know it's not finished. So there's going to probably be some changes to that in the future.
Okay.
Is Scourge Arrow the one that fires and then leaves the trap explodey things?
Yeah,
I saw that
exactly.
too.
I
like the little
I'm really excited for it because it's the first like charged up bow skill. Believe it or not, we've never had a bow skill where you like get this feeling of like drawing back a string and then firing a powerful arrow. We've never had that in PoE. So this is the first time they're doing something like that, and it probably needs a bit of work. And I've been talking to Rory off and on about it and giving a lot of feedback about that one. And I know there's more he wants to do with that, so we'll see how that one goes. Toxic Rain, which fires a bunch of pods that like have vines grasping at enemies and poisoning them and things like that. And also Caustic Arrow, which is a old fan favorite for a lot of people. Classic skill, used to be called Poison Arrow. Used to do a poison cloud. Now does like a bunch of acidic ground stuff, but also has an explosion now. So you got to rework. And actually, I would classify that as a good league starter too. Okay. I feel like it's got a lot of
synergize with the Herald. It summons the Virulent.
Yeah, now that's got an explosion, it actually can. In the past, it wouldn't have because it didn't really hit enemies. It was just doing like a damage over time thing. But yeah, you could actually do Caustic Arrow and just get a little bit of poison through something and summon that dude as well. So I think you'll actually work with Caustic Arrow, and that's what I tested and played around with quite a bit here even into early maps, and really liked it. So yeah, Caustic Arrow looks really good. Oh yeah, he's super strong. Man. You're just like one shots rares and some bosses even.
Huh.
So yeah, it's pretty
So,
good.
does the Scorpion function as a minion, so you could use like minion buffing things to make it more powerful?
Yeah, he is a minion, but because the idea is that he's going to be used on like poison builds, the idea is that you're probably not going to be scaling any minion stuff with him. So they've made him able to be gotten strong enough through other means that you don't need to scale minion stuff with him. But I do reckon we're going to see some people trying to make some minion, like actual minion builds to make it even more ridiculous.
Right.
I think some people will explore that, yeah.
That makes sense. Well, I know Ko's got to go pretty soon, at least right at the time, and I got to get out of here for Farverona. So I think we're
Oh,
gonna.
but there's so much more.
I know. I think we're gonna end the Path of Exile talk, and then just all play it on Friday. Especially Jericho. He's just roaring for those servers to get up and go.
I
You're a
can't
good
wait.
sport, man.
You've made me.
Good
Hey,
sport.
you know, anybody who's passionate about something, it's always interesting hearing you talk. So
Good. I'm glad.
True story.
Yeah.
True story.
It's true.
Oh, by the way, before we're done with the PoE talk, just in the very small chance that someone listening to this show may have not heard of PoE before, keep in mind the game we're just showing is free. You can download it for free off Steam. It has been in development for 5 years. It has so many good mechanics. And that's one of the reasons it's so overwhelming, because it's been under heavy development for 5 years, and it shows.
Yep.
So definitely go check it out on Steam if you're interested in that game. Again, the new league starts 3 p.m. on Friday. So it's a great time to check it out.
3 p.m.
And there's
Eastern.
no pay to win in it. So yeah.
Earlier on, Jericho mentioned like RuneScape and World of Warcraft and stuff like that. PoE is for a lot of people one of those games, like that game that just consumes them. It's my RuneScape / World of Warcraft.
Totally.
It's
makes sense.
Yeah.
it's good. Check it
Got a
out.
lot to it, man. Got a lot
And
to it.
Ziggy, just for some quick reference before we go, how many hours do you think you have in PoE now?
Yeah. What's your Steam say?
I don't use Steam, so I don't know. I
Oh,
can't
you use the
hardly get an
client,
estimate.
okay.
Plus, there was like pre-release of the game as well, which wasn't counted. Like over 5,000 hours, somewhere around that. More than that, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot more than that.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say. I try not to think about it.
It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. Also, how's the MTX? We're looking for the news. What are we talking about? We got any cool stuff?
Okay, well, yes, there's going to be MTXs. There always is, but there is something that's actually pretty good. All of our existing MTXs that have lights on them are getting buffed. They've done a whole new graphics lighting system, like that makes like glowy lights appear on walls and illuminate things and stuff like that. Looks really good. Like, take a look at some of those videos in the trailer and stuff if you want. But like, it looks good. So if you have like some fancy fiery armor, you'll like have like a nice warm orange glow all around the place and stuff. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
MTX getting buffed.
Yeah,
That's good.
Have they announced any skill MTXs? What are they trying to push? What are they trying to push this league? Do you know?
I don't know. I think they usually show most of those off like when the league goes up.
Okay.
They start slamming them out then, which makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. All right. Well, like Co said, that launches 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday. I think all three of us will be playing, and Jericho's going to start his stream on Saturday for PoE Noob. So if you want to check that out, also
be a great one.
Yeah, the stream will also
I'll watch.
feature some up and coming Zillow houses, new, fresh on the market. So look out for that stuff as well.
Yes. Big stream day. Big stream day.
Yeah. Let's do some shout outs and then call it a show. Jericho, once again, thanks for coming on the show, man. Why don't you shout us out?
Sure.
Or shout
Thank you
yourself
for
out.
having me. Always a pleasure. If you guys are interested in my beginning stream on Saturday while I'm at PAX, it's not going to happen. So this is my last stream today. Like I said, I'm on some weird game. Yeah, or FortniteStreamer.com if you want to watch me stream. That's also my URL. No, thank you guys for having me. It's always fun. Really excited for Cyberpunk. Really excited for some of the new games coming up this fall. So we're gonna have some, hopefully, some solid streams. Otherwise, just a bunch of weird shit. So
Check it out. Thanks for coming on,
Dude, props for getting that URL, man.
Yeah,
right,
Nice.
yeah,
it's
yeah.
good.
My
No,
Lord,
I just
that
was like,
was a
wow,
joke.
nobody wanted to get that. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
All right, that's real.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's his-
God.
that's
Yeah.
he owns it.
That's my. Yeah, I have that URL.
Wow.
You know,
Dude, well done.
Co, do some shout outs.
Absolutely. First of all, big thank you to JP as always. Huge thanks to Jericho who came on to replace Zeke. That was awesome. Great, always hanging out with you. Also Ziggy, of course. It was awesome getting all the new info on Delve. I cannot wait to dive in. My name is Co. I stream every day at twitch.tv/CoCarnage. We're currently doing Yakuza Kiwami 2 in the mornings. We're going to be starting on Friday morning with 2 Point Hospital, if you want to check that game out. And then Saturday morning with the new Delve League. So we got a lot of fun stuff. Also coming up on the channel, we got our Kingdom Hearts 1 playthrough, my first time ever. Hopefully doing that in September, the new Spider-Man game, all sorts of fun stuff. So would love to see you over at my channel. We start every day at, again, 8 a.m. EDT. And as always, thank you for watching.
Good stuff. Let me know when that Kingdom. I got to sit there with my popcorn and watch that Kingdom Hearts stream. So.
Yeah, I'm looking for an opening. I want to give it like back to back to back days and kind of like beginning to end it. So I'm hoping in September, but we'll see with the release schedule.
It's like a 3 or 4 stream day. Well, you do like 4-hour chunks, so it's probably a 6 or 7 day stream maybe. We'll see.
I want to give it like a week.
Yeah, yeah. Last but not least, Ziggy, do some shout outs. I hope this card is. That kind of works. Do some shout outs, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Look, guys, thank you very much for having me on the show once again. It was a lot of fun. I could sit here talking about Path of Exile and general games with you guys for hours. Thank you so much. I'm going to be streaming Delve at launch, of course. So feel free to check me out. I don't URLs, just Google Ziggy D. And I'll put up that video for the Templar stuff if you guys want to check that out up on my YouTube as well. I'm Ziggy D on YouTube as well. I'm like technically Ziggy D StarCraft.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about this. Do you play StarCraft?
I started with StarCraft, and as was the trend at the time,
It was.
everybody had StarCraft in their name.
Yeah.
And
Or SC2.
you're getting too deep, and you can't change it. I'm like, I have backlinks to this in so many places.
Yeah.
I can't change this now.
Do you own twitter.com/ZiggyD?
No.
Okay.
I think some rapper does.
Oh.
Ziggy D.
I need to try and get that.
All right. All right. Well, there you go. That's going to do it here for Drop Frame. Zeke will be back next week, maybe. And I'm sure we'll have the stories of...
If you made it through Burning Man.
Yeah, if you made it through Burning Man. Yeah. Can you imagine what it would be like to just disconnect from the internet for 2 weeks and not know anything and then come back?
You know what? I'll be blunt. I'm jealous. Like,
I'm
I
jealous,
don't
but-
even know if I can handle that.
I'd be so scared. Like, do they even get news there? Or is
No,
it just
that's
like...
the whole point. There's no cell service. There's nothing. You're not
Man.
made for the burner life, JP.
No, I'm not. We know this. This is a true fact. Yeah. It'd be so weird to just come back and figure out what happened the past two. Anyways, we'll talk to Zeke about it next week. He'll be on the show, and we'll figure out a guest as well. So that's it. We'll see you guys next time on Drop Frames. Thanks once again to Jericho and Ziggy for coming out the show, and always for Co for being here as well. We're out. Bye-bye.